Tucker Carlson was on System Update with Glenn Greenwald, and Carlson is almost like an economic socialist or basically fascist or whatever. Listen, he's not a free market economics guy at all. He does great interviewing people. He's pretty good on free speech. You know, he's good on some other things. He's got a way of talking about stuff for sure, but he thinks that Congress should stop electric vehicles because 10 million men are truck drivers, and we should stop innovation so that 10 million people don't lose their jobs. Yeah, and so it's a good thing he wasn't around in the early 1900s or any other time there was a technological innovation, because he would have been out there preaching that we shouldn't make this innovation because people are going to lose their jobs. But this, he's critiquing, here's what's wrong in America. Even though he's using innovation to launch his Tucker Carlson network. Now, people are having a tough time in this economy, Charlie, and the rich are getting richer, and these big corporations, you know, they're taking over everything. And Tucker Carlson, people are just getting bent over. Yeah, they are hard. Yeah. And he has finally fingered the problem. Okay. And he has pinpointed that it's our libertarian economics that is the issue that we have right now in America. So this really is a dumb bleep, but since it happened over the weekend and I saw a bunch of people talking about it, I thought, hey, it's a good opportunity to talk about this right quick. So let's get over to this video. Maybe I'll skip ahead just a little bit once he gets going. Here's
but it also kind of transformed economic policy. He frequently kind of denounced the classic sort of Reaganomics, this idea that, oh, we should all cheer for the richest people in our society to get richer because a rising tide lifts all boats, and everybody watches Raytheon and Boeing and BlackRock and Amazon get richer and richer and richer.
Can you stop it right there? Okay, this is kind of a farce, but at the same time, if you think about it, have we not all gotten richer? We have, yeah. Like, insanely richer. We have all gotten richer. The poorest person in America today is way richer than arguably the richest man ever in history to live, which was Rockefeller. Doesn't matter. Who could probably amount to a trillionaire if you look at his actual wealth and all the stuff that he owned. Yeah, but he couldn't stop his kid from dying from an infection. Exactly. You know, I think I need to look it up, and I'm pretty sure he had several or a few kids die because of like basic medical things that we have now. Yeah. That even the poorest kid in America gets. You know how stocked his refrigerator was? It wasn't stocked. There weren't refrigerators. So, there weren't refrigerators. No, it wasn't. That's the thing. So yeah, he was really rich, but all of us have gotten better throughout this time. Are you looking up to see how many kids died? All right, let's listen to a little bit more of this.
Aren't rising.
I'm just tired of hearing that argument because like we are all richer. Yeah. Like way richer. If you just point out certain people that got richer and maybe they got richer faster than other people, then you can hit someone's emotional buttons and you can tell them quietly that this isn't their fault, it's someone else's fault, and that they don't need to change anything that they're doing, that it's actually the entire system is screwed up, and the system is screwed up. I don't think it's because of libertarianism, but the system is screwed up. And some people do get rich when they shouldn't, and that's because the government takes your money and gives it to other people through force. And they print money, and that goes to people at the top first. And so, yeah, it's screwed up for sure. But I wouldn't blame libertarianism for this.
And it really led a lot of people who have been capitalists their whole lives to at least start questioning not capitalism as a theory, but capitalism how it manifests in American society. What is your view about sort of where the populist right is, the Trump movement is, when it comes to these core questions of economic theory and economic populism?
I think a lot of people have awakened to the now demonstrable fact that libertarian economics was a scam perpetrated by the beneficiaries of the economic system that they were defending. So they created this whole intellectual framework to justify the private equity culture that's hollowed out the country. That's my personal view, and I've seen it up close my whole life, so I think it's a fair assessment. I think a smarter way to assess an economic system is by its results. So you can assign whatever name you want to the economic system of the United States. You could call it market capitalism. You could call it, you could call it a whole host of different things. But I don't think any of that's useful. Those are boring conversations. I think you need to ask, does this economic system produce a lot of dollar stores? And if it does, it's not a system that you want because it degrades people and it makes their lives worse and it increases exponentially the amount of ugliness in your society. And anything that increases ugliness is evil. And it's just kind of, let's just start there. So if it's such a good system, why do we have all these dollar stores? I mean, the dollar store is
What?
He wants to measure an economic system by whether or not it produces more dollar stores.
What's wrong with dollar stores? I got to tell you, I mean,
there's this big.
I go down to my local Dollar General every now and then, and ain't nothing wrong with that place.
I got one.
They got quality goods there.
Closest store to my house is a Dollar General, and I go there sometimes with a bulletproof vest on, strapped to the, just ready to go, and I pick up the jar of mayonnaise or whatever I was missing.
They got Dukes there. They got Kraft.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't understand. You know,
they even got Smithfield sausage there, which is like the best. If you want to get like pre-made sausage patties and heat them up in the morning, absolute best China sausage you can find.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I don't understand all the hatred for dollar stores. The idea is that there's a lot of poor communities and they've got a dollar. Like you drive into the city and the first thing you see is a dollar store, like on the way in. And somehow,
actually, the first thing you see in almost every city is a dollar store because they have like thousands of them.
So many.
Everywhere.
So many dollar stores. Yeah. Like more than Walmart or whatever else.
And honestly, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but when you go into a dollar store, some of the things are more expensive.
They are.
Than if you go to like Walmart or...
And that's one of the reasons that...
Or Target
a lot of people don't like them because they're not actually... Like some of the things might be cheaper, but they'd be smaller quantities. You're paying more per ounce or whatever for everything there. And so that's one of the reasons people don't like them. They'll say that it hurts poor communities because they don't carry fresh food. And so poor communities aren't able to have, you know how you see whether or not they want that food? Someone needs to start a grocery store in that area.
A fresh market.
Something with a produce market there. And if people decide to go there instead of going to the dollar store, then that's what those people wanted. And if they don't do that, then that's not what the people wanted. And it's a pretty easy way to check and see. Listen, I think a lot of people who come from these uppity neighborhoods, big cities, stuff like that, who have never had to live in actual rural America, where you got a town of 200 people and there's not enough people there to maybe support a full grocery store, or there's not someone there who wants to own a grocery store or something like that. And it can be a blessing when a big company wants to come in and start a dollar store there, because you're acting like the alternative is this amazing fresh fruit market that was just going to exist magically in this area if there wouldn't have been a dollar store there.
In the perfect system, Nate. I mean, that's...
yeah. But that's not the case. They open up in a lot of places where no one else will open up. I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
Okay?
And of course, we miss the most important fact, which is like we don't have a libertarian economy whatsoever. This is not. I mean, let's just take it back to the very beginning. The economic system that our founders set up, what is so far gone. In fact, you can measure it in dollars. It's 99% gone.
The founders,
because 99% of the value of the dollar is gone.
The founders, I know what you're saying, but just to clarify it more, the founders didn't really set up an economic system. They set out to not have a government that impeded people trading freely with one another. And so the natural economic system was just free trade amongst people and being able to create value and trade for value. And they set out to not have a government that was going to stop people from doing that. And so, yeah, we had a pretty good free market system there for a bit.
Kind of.
There are tariffs, there's stuff.
Well, I meant so the Articles of Confederation, the reason why we had the Constitution was because states were making their own money and they wanted a unified, which
T-Dub said states have their own currencies.
Right. That was Articles of Confederation. But then they switched that, obviously, because Hamilton being one of the big government guys and some other folks. It would be kind of difficult to have, although they do it in Europe mostly, I guess. And although they've switched, a lot of countries have switched to the euro. Yeah. But coining money can be difficult when people don't agree on the value, let's say. But it is just a means for exchange. However, so they did have some play, I would say, in setting up an economic system. But we are so far removed from that. And I'm not even saying what the founders did was libertarian, right? Because I would classify a libertarian economy that would mostly resemble an Austrian economic school of thought.
Like, how about they just don't do anything?
Right.
And then people decide, that'd be like anarcho-capitalism, you know?
Yeah.
That they don't come in and do anything. They could coin money, but it doesn't have to be like the only money that people are using.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they wouldn't seize everyone's gold or, you know, destroy that. But anyhow, no, not libertarian whatsoever. He goes on to say that the libertarian economic system was created its own moral it was perpetrated on us by the people that would benefit from it, like these private equity people. And that's what it is. No, those people can benefit from people putting their money into private equity firms and investing in businesses, or the government taking other people's money forcefully and putting it into some of these firms and propping them up at the same time and bailing them out if something goes poorly for them. That's not libertarian. Okay. And then he says that they created a whole moral framework with these people that would come out and talk about the virtues of the free market system. And like they created Hayek and Mises and Rothbard and Rand and Friedman and all that. And this is just all some big conspiracy by big private equity back in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
To create this system that sounded like it was moral, like, oh, we're going to tell people it's good to let people trade freely with one another, but really, we're just trying to make a ton of money. That's all it is. There's actually no morality behind this at all.
Yeah.
You know, he sounds like Alex Jones right now. Maybe you've been hanging out with him too long.
So you're saying people can be free to make their own choices, and that's immoral.
That's
because
a lie.
Because by people making their own choices, you can then exploit them because they're free to make their own choices. What?
I'm not sure. So you create this system.
This is the problem with personalities too.
I know.
If people follow certain people, like, oh, I love Tucker. Man can do no wrong. Fox News did him dirty. I'm going to follow him everywhere. And he says stupid like this. And then, of course, like, if you're not up to speed on economics, which most people aren't because it's boring as hell, I get it. You're going to listen to this and be like, oh, yeah. Great analogy. You know, I noticed I'm having a hard time at the local factory making a living wage, and my family shops at the Dollar General, and Tucker's probably right. We need to analyze our economy and make sure we have fewer dollar stores so everybody lives a better life.
The whole railing against dollar stores thing, once again, is just really weird to me. And to me, it comes from people who have never had to actually live in a really small town where, like, I come from a town where, here's the deal. If my dad didn't want to have a grocery store, the town just wasn't going to have a grocery store. And that was it. And if he decides not to, which he did eventually, what do they got? They had a dollar store for a little bit, but you know what? My dad actually put them out of business because that people did decide that they wanted to go to that grocery store, but not every town has my dad. Okay. And so sometimes you got a dollar store and that's all you got. And they're all over the place. And they've done kind of a correlation is causation thing where they look at the dollar store and they say, well, look, there's a dollar store and it's a poor community.
But what
Therefore, this is a dollar store is making people poor.
What happened? Why does that town no longer have a grocery store?
Why? Because of Illinois' regulations and minimum wage increases and taxes.
It was no longer profitable.
There's other reasons, you know.
So Illinois helped out that town.
They did.
Big time by getting rid of their grocery store now.
Big time. Yeah, they're doing so much better now. Everyone's happier there. They're not depressed. Everyone's got everything they need because of something.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what it is that they did. So what you were saying earlier is people can listen to this. They can listen to a personality like Tucker Carlson and say, yeah, you're right. Yeah, there is something wrong here. And they can be like, oh yeah, this system is rigged. This system really does benefit people at the top more so than it should. And then you could hear him say, well, that's because of libertarian economic lies. I'm like, what the absolute are you talking about, dude? There's no libertarianism happening here where you have a market where you're able to create things, but then the government takes a whole bunch of it and then they just give it to other people who donate to people's campaigns or because they want to stimulate a certain area because of the color of the people who live in that town or whatever it is. Like, that's not a libertarian economy happening where they print money and they give it to people at the top first and then they get the full value of the money. And as that finally makes it down into the economy, people's value's been devalued by 40% when they finally get the money and prices have gone up. And it's just, to to say that that's libertarian economics, he's either lying or he's just an idiot. Like those are the only two options that are available right now. He's either lying or he's an idiot.
Ignorant.
And I don't know which one it is.
Ignorant.
Or ignorant.
Could be both.
He's not, I trust that he has spent a lot of time reading and looking into these things and talking to people and investigating some things. And like, I wouldn't call him ignorant. He's seen a lot of he's seen a lot of how the sausage is made out there. Okay. And so I don't think he's ignorant. I think he's just an idiot, or he's led too much by his emotions. And so he's mad at whatever big company it is that he thinks is screwing people over. And that must be libertarianism, because these people are able to operate in the market. So that's libertarianism.
Well, and here's a couple other things. Tell me a system where, what system exists where the rich don't get richer? Here's the thing. Like when you make it somewhere, like when you climb up the ladder, let's say, like you get more opportunities. Like LeBron James gets more offers to do commercials than I do. And why is that?
Libertarianism.
It's, I mean, like maybe it's because like he has a large following.
Maybe because he would do a better job selling the products that those people want to sell.
So he's got like way more opportunity.
Just like some businesses would do a better job growing your money and your investment and your retirement portfolio than other people would do.
Yes.
And they're just better at investing money and creating things. Magoo said there's a lot of libertarians out there saying stupid things, and he could be citing that. That's also another thing. He's mentioned Cato a few times in some of his other interviews. I think he's also mentioned people like Peter Thiel before, who's called a libertarian quite a bit. And these are people who specifically are out there gaming the system, arguing for free market economics, while also arguing for the theft of other people's money to go to them at the same time. Yeah, and so he could just be looking specifically at those people.
They're gaming the system that isn't libertarian. So like, but even let's say you had completely free market economics. Like let's say we had the libertarian utopia, for instance. Let's say that we lived in that world. There would still be people at the top who would be making most of the money.
There'd still be a top 1%. There'd be a bottom 10%. That would happen.
It's almost like a law of life.
What matters is, did you get there freely by creating valuable things for people, by bringing more value to other people's lives in the way that it would be in a libertarian economy, or did you get there because you were friends with the right people and you got access to other people's money before other people did, because of your friends and contacts and all the levers?
And were you smart enough to know what to do with it?
Yeah.
Because some people get that access and they squander it.
Yeah, then they get bailed out afterwards. That's fine.
Yeah, until it runs out. That's why most generational wealth is gone by the third generation.
Yep.
Most of it. There are very few families.
Almost all of it.
There are very few families who continue on the wealth forever. Most of them are actually royal.
Yeah. Government.
Exactly.